Part 70. The Wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Kiji Now. Chapter 692. Oh, is it Mr. Han? Len Ning asked leisurely. Yes, it's me. Guo Qiudong's voice was somewhat flattering. First, now it was he who wanted something from her. Secondly, it was indeed his daughter's fault in the first place. Mr. Han, do you want to plead for Miss Han? Len Ning's tone was still calm. Hall Master Len, my little daughter's family is ignorant. I have already taught her a lesson, and I hope you won't be as knowledgeable as her, Hall Master Len. Len Ning's face turned cold. Miss Han is 1 year older than me. I am an adult, is she still a child? Guo Qiudong's expression froze and his hands clenched into fists. But he could only endure his anger. If Hall Master Len has any requirements, we will try our best to meet them, he then said. Having dealt with Len Ning more than once, he knew how difficult the other party was. If she doesn't give her something substantial, I'm afraid she won't be able to survive this time. The senior officials of the South Army base immediately looked at the South Korea building. Although they also know that Nanshan base must pay something to survive the current situation safely. But this matter was obviously caused by the daughter, so why should their entire Southern Army base pay for it? The corner of Len Ning's lips raised. I am now at the home of Chief Cheng of the self-strengthening base. If you are really sincere, please bring Miss Han to interview me. Then Len Ning hung up the phone without waiting for Guo Qiudong's reply. The senior officials of Nanshan base looked at each other. If he and his daughter go to the self-improvement base to talk, I'm afraid it won't be so easy. Han Yu trembled when she heard that Len Ning wanted to see her. Looking at Guo Qiudong, he couldn't help but shake his head. She doesn't want to see that devil again. Guo Qiudong's face was ashen and he was in a bad mood. Now the outside of the base is blocked by a zombie wave, and the surrounding area is also full of zombies. Although he could leave from the back mountain, he was afraid he would encounter a lot of zombies on the way to Zhejiang base. Too dangerous. But given the current situation, it was impossible for him not to go. The entire high-ranking military staff were there, staring at him. It's all this rebellious woman's fault. Looking at Han Yu's trembling appearance, Guo Qiudong wanted to rush over and slap her twice. Everyone, what do you think about this matter? Suppressing the irritability in his heart, Guo Qiudong controlled himself and asked everyone. Senior executives, you look at me and I look at you, wondering what else you think. You should quickly take your daughter to talk to them. Everyone has made it very clear, why don't you just follow it? But even though everyone has this idea, no one dares to say it. Saying this offends people. It's safe to say that nothing will happen now, but when this incident passes, I may have to wear shoes. No one is a fool, no one wants to be the one who stands out. What can you say? Apart from Hall Master Len being able to rescue us, can we still hope that the zombie wave will leave on its own? Mr. Chen said angrily to Guo Qiudong. The fight between him and Guo Qiudong has long been made public, and he has no scruples about talking to him. They are afraid of Guo Qiudong, but he is not. Besides, this incident was caused by your family. You are her father. Shouldn't you bring her to the door to apologize to Hall Master Len? Glancing at the crying Han Yu, Mr. Chen said with some disgust. Pretending to be so weak, he killed his son in cold blood and cruelty. If he hadn't been thinking about Guo Qiudong, he would have killed her with a knife. Everyone looked at Guo Qiudong, and the meaning in their eyes was obvious. You should go. At this time, whether they were those who followed Mr. Chen, the previous neutralists or followers of South Korea Dong, they all expressed their gratitude to Mr. Chen. Mr. Chen still dares to speak. It's already this time, why ask them for their opinions? As the commander of the Southern Army base, if something like this happened to him, shouldn't he immediately take his troubled daughter to solve the problem? Guo Qiudong glanced at Mr. Chen, his face dark. This old thing is now adding insult to injury. This time Len Ning takes revenge on them. Damn it, even though they don't deal with it, they are at least part of the same base. He actually dug in and teamed up with outsiders to deal with him. Why are you looking at me? It's not the Yangdao base where I'm going to plot. Seeing Guo Qiudong staring at him, Mr. Chen continued to say angrily. Guo Qiudong was so angry that he almost vomited blood. Before the zombie wave rushes to the back mountain, hurry up and find Hall Master Leng. Otherwise, the Southern Army base will not be able to get out by then, and our entire base will be buried with your father and daughter, Mr. Chen continued. He unceremoniously accused Guo Qiudong and Han Yu. As soon as these words came out, the senior executives who had not spoken could no longer hold back. Yes, please take Miss and leave as soon as possible. I'm afraid the base won't be able to be defended if it's too late, someone urged anxiously. Guo Qiudong's face darkened. Just when he looked at the person who was speaking, he heard another person follow him. It's not too late. Let's go quickly. The others also urged and chanted. For a time, almost all the senior officials made a sound. They all urged him to act quickly. South Korea's heart sank. Okay, I'll go. After calming down, he finally looked at Chen Liadao. I'll settle the score with you when I come back. Old Chen narrowed his eyes. Still want to come back? Think beautifully. With Hall Master Leng here, do you dare to have such a dream? It's such a pity that he can't do it himself. When the senior executives heard that Guo Qiudong finally agreed, their expressions became more relaxed. What are you still doing? Let's go. Now that he had decided, Guo Qiudong said to Han Yu angrily without any further delay. Seeing that Han Yu's eyes were resisting and she wanted to say no, Guo Qiudong simply stepped forward and took one of Han Yu's arms with one hand, and dragged her out. Don't embarrass me, he warned in a low voice as he walked away. Guo Qiudong squeezed Han Yu's arm with great force, which caused great pain. But she couldn't break away at all, and she didn't dare to break away, so she could only endure it. After leaving the conference room and walking out of the building, Guo Qiudong finally let go of Han Yu. Without even looking at the pitiful and aggrieved Han Yu, Guo Qiudong took out his cell phone and called his escort over. After the arrangements were made, Han Yu and the escort headed towards the back mountain. At this time, Len Ning was still chatting and laughing with Leader Cheng and Mr. Yang in the Zhejiang base. After waiting for more than 20 minutes, Guo Qiudong and Han Yu arrived. Seeing the arrival of Guo Qiudong and his daughter, Leader Cheng immediately asked Mr. Yang and Xiaobao to drink tea with him elsewhere, leaving the place to Len Ning and the Han family. Master Leng. Guo Qiudong gave Len Ning a fist. He still looked like this, as if he didn't care about anyone. Len Ning put down the teacup and looked at Guo Qiudong and Han Yu hiding behind him. You're moving pretty fast, he said with a chuckle. A flash of stiffness flashed across South Korea's face. What happened at Yangdao base before, is because my little girl is ignorant, Guo Qiudong said to Len Ning while licking his old face. The wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Ki Now. Chapter 693. Len Ning curled his lips, his expression unfriendly. I brought her here specifically to apologize to Hall Master Leng. If she wants to be beaten or scolded, I have absolutely no objection, Guo Qiudong said quickly. At the same time, he reached out and pulled Han Yu, who was hiding behind him. Han Yu was terrified of Len Ning. How could she dare to face her, so she subconsciously continued to hide. Guo Qiudong was so angry that he increased his strength several times and forcibly dragged Han Yu to his side to face Len Ning. Seeing this situation, the corners of Len Ning's lips raised in an arc. Han Yu, who had just looked up at Len Ning and was about to apologize because she was forced by Guo Qiudong, was frightened by Len Ning and quickly lowered her head again. She subconsciously wanted to hide again, but because her wrist was pinched hard by South Korea Dongjia, she could no longer hide. Leng, Hall Master Len, I'm sorry. Han Yu lowered his head and apologized, not daring to look at Len Ning at all. Haha, Miss Hans, I'm sorry doesn't sound sincere. Len Ning said contemptuously. Pa Guoqiudong moved his hand instantly and slapped Han Yu directly on the face. The slap was so strong that Han Yu covered her face and fell to the ground. When she looked up at Guoqiudong, blood flowed from the corners of her lips. There were tears in his sparkling eyes. That was pitiful. A moment of unbearability flashed across Guoqiudong's face, but it was only for a moment that he regained his angry look. You ignorant thing, how dare you make trouble for Yangdao Base and Hall Master Len, I will beat you to death today. Guoqiudong stepped forward, and this time he directly touched Han Yu. The force was quite strong, and the kick sent Han Yu flying out, causing her to cry loudly from the pain. Dad, please forgive me, I know I was wrong, with you. Han Yu hurriedly begged for mercy. It's a pity that even though the look of unbearability flashed across the face of South Korea became more and more serious, he didn't stop at all. He was waiting for Len Ning to speak. But how could Len Ning speak? She called the father and daughter here just to finish them off. Now that I see this show, I just find it funny and wish I could watch it for a while longer. Han Yu was not a person with superpowers, so she couldn't help but be beaten. Soon she was beaten by Guoqiudong until she couldn't get up. Her hair was disheveled, her face was bloody, and her body was stained by the solace of Guoqiudong's shoes. She looked pitiful lying on the ground. Guoqiudong's face turned a little pale. He could hardly speak out when he heard Han Yu crying, and finally couldn't bear to attack Han Yu again. Master Len, I have dealt with this rebellious girl in front of you. I hope you can calm down. Guoqiudong finally turned around and looked at Len Ning, his tone was somewhat respectful. He thought it was time for Len Ning to negotiate terms with him this time and not hold on to his daughter again. Who knew? Huh. That's it, Len Ning glanced at Han Yu contemptuously, with some unfinished meaning in his eyes. Guoqiudong was angry. He had almost beaten his daughter to death in front of her, but she was still so unwilling to let him go. If you continue to beat her, she will die. In the end, I only have one daughter, although Guoqiudong glared at Han Yu with a look of hatred. Although she did this bastard thing, our Han family will still have to rely on her in the future. Guoqiudong raised his head and looked at Len Ning. Please, Hall Master Len, look on my face and give her a way to survive. Han Yu heard this from the side, and the resentment she had just felt towards Guoqiudong disappeared. Dad still cherishes her. At this time, she didn't dare to move, and even her sobs became quieter. Just waiting for Len Ning to say something to let her go. Rely on her. Unexpectedly, Len Ning smiled sarcastically. Guoqiudong calmly clenched his fists and told himself to exercise restraint. Now he has something to ask for from her, so he must endure it. Len Ning withdrew his gaze from Han Yu and looked meaningfully at Guoqiudong, who had a restrained expression. Guoqiudong quickly calmed down his emotions and restored his respectful expression. If Commander Han wants to rely on her to inherit and carry forward the foundation he has built, then... Len Ning had a pity expression on his face. Han Yu, who was sobbing softly just now, froze instantly. Guoqiudong was confused and didn't understand what Len Ning meant by saying this. Len Ning raised the corners of her lips and said kindly, "It seems like Commander Han doesn't know yet. Lord Len. I was wrong. Lord Len, I was wrong. Please let me go. I kowtow to you, please let me go." Len Ning was just about to tell the truth, but he was lying motionless on the ground just now. Han Yu actually moved instantly. He immediately knelt down and kowtowed to Len Ning. It was a man with quick movements and a particularly loud voice. Guoqiudong frowned, feeling irritated and angry in his heart. This stupid thing had dared to trick him into being seriously injured and unable to move. If you lie, you will lie. If you can deceive Len Ning, let this matter be revealed. But now he did this after he begged Len Ning. Was it a slap in the face? Len Ning raised the corners of his lips with a sarcastic arc and looked at Guo Qiudong. It looks like Ling Qingjin is not injured. How could he not be injured? It's just that the injury is obviously not as serious as it looks. Len Ning said this on purpose, just to make Guo Qiudong even more angry. As expected, Guo Qiudong's face turned dark. Looking at Han Yu, who was still kowtowing to Len Ning, he almost couldn't help but kick her again. But he still endured it. I will take care of her when we get back. Hall Master Len should just state the conditions directly. Looking away from Han Yu, Guo Qiudong looked at Len Ning. He is the commander of the Southern Army base and has tens of thousands of people under his command. It's enough for her to humiliate him for so long. Haha. Len Ning chuckled twice. Okay, this makes me angry. The condition is that you personally execute the culprit in front of me, Len Ning said solemnly. Commander Han, do it. The Han family's father and daughter were stunned at the same time. Han Yu's voice for mercy became louder, and she kept knocking her head on the ground, as if she couldn't feel the pain. Guo Qiudong's complexion turned livid. Hall Master Len is really unwilling to let our Southern Army base go, he then asked in a deep voice. The corners of Len Ning's lips raised. Why should I let you come here if I don't want to? Han Qiudong was stunned. Then what does Hall Master Len mean? His expression finally improved. Why are Commander Han so anxious? Hear what I have to say first and then decide. Len Ning had a smile in his eyes. Guo Qiudong frowned again. Hall Master Len, I will never mess with you in the future. Hall Master Len. Please. Han Yu suddenly moved and crawled towards Len Ning on his knees. Len Ning glanced at Han Yu, and then looked at Han Qiudong. Guo Qiudong's face turned doubtful again. He stepped forward and grabbed Han Yu's collar and pulled her aside. If you have anything to say, just say it then, he said to Len Ning. He is not a fool, his daughter's reaction is quite abnormal. What secret does Len Ning know about her? No, don't. Han Yu looked at Len Ning and was still pleading. Guo Qiudong frowned and threw Han Yu aside. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Kiji Now. Chapter 694. Shut up. If you keep arguing again, I'll beat you to death, then he said angrily. Han Yu's face turned pale. She had spent enough time with her father to understand that his expression at the moment was not a joke. He was really going to get angry. Usually, when he shows this expression, the other person usually dies. She finally didn't dare to say any more, and could only look at Len Ning with a pleading look on her face, hoping that she would be kind and not tell her secret to her father. But is this possible? Master Len, just tell me what you want to say. Guo Qiudong looked at Len Ning displeased. The corners of Len Ning's lips raised. Commander Han should know that I received Miss Han from Quanglan Base to Thunder Base, right? Han Qiudong looked startled. Nodded. The news he received at that time was that his daughter was in the hands of Zhang Lin at Quanglan Base. Zhang Lin hid her well and refused to admit that she was in his possession, so he failed to take her back to the Southern Army base. Because Zhang Lin had a close relationship with them, he thought nothing would happen, so he was not so anxious to deal with the matter. This led to her daughter falling into Len Ning's hands and being taken to the Thunder Base. What followed was that he paid a high price and was blackmailed by Len Ning. Does Commander Han know what Miss Han has experienced at Quanglan Base before? Len Ning's eyes flashed with a smile. Han Yu's pupils shrank and she stretched her hand in the direction of Len Ning. She wanted to beg her, but no words came out. She should have known that Len Ning hated her and would not let her go. She couldn't hide all this. However, she is her father's only daughter after all. Even if she has a bad past, even if she loses her fertility, Her father will not abandon her. He will definitely not abandon her. Guo Qiudong glanced at Han Yu, who looked depressed, and then looked at Len Ning, frowning. What have you been through? Asked. Haha. She offended someone at Quanglan base and was sold to the Red Kill, haha, it shouldn't be difficult for Commander Han to guess where the Red Kill is. Len Ning looked at the slumped figure with disdain. Han Yu on the ground felt in a good mood. Guo Qiudong looked at Han Yu, his face turned dark. Hong Kill, he knew where it was just by hearing the last word. Ms. Han's business is very good. She has made a lot of money for the owner of Hanjiao. And Len Ning looked at Han Yu's pale face and became more and more enthusiastic as she spoke. So what? Guo Qiudong looked at Han Yu and clenched his fists. My body was also injured, and my uterus was removed. Haha, it's impossible to have a child in this life. Len Ning smiled sweetly, but to the Han family's father and daughter, it was as scary as a ghost. At this moment, Han Yu almost lowered her head to the ground. Even if she didn't look at Guo Qiudong, she could still feel the angry expression he looked at her. Guo Qiudong didn't even look at Len Ning. He just looked at Han Yu, squeezing his hands tighter and holding back his anger so as not to say hello to Han Yu. Is what she said true? Then he asked through gritted teeth. After taking her back to the Southern Army base, he had been trying to find a partner for her. I want her to get married as soon as possible and continue the legacy of the Han family. But she kept refusing, saying she wanted to wait for Chen Xing. It is said that if she marries Chen Xing, the old man named Chen will no longer be at odds with him, and the internal conflicts in the Southern Army base will also be resolved. At that time, he thought she was sensible, so he didn't push her too hard on the matter of marriage. But now Len Ning's statement completely overturned his previous thoughts. He really didn't want to believe what Len Ning said, but she was so guilty that she didn't dare to reply. Could this still be a lie? Han Yu remained motionless and did not dare to answer Guo Qiudong. Len Ning is here, can she still resist? There is also her physical condition, which can be found out immediately by just looking for a doctor. Guo Qiudong's face became darker and darker. What she said is true, she asked Han Yu again through gritted teeth. Han Yu's body trembled again, but she still didn't dare to raise her head, let alone make a sound. At this point, Guo Qiudong had no choice but to believe it, no matter how unwilling he wanted to believe it. His body suddenly swayed, and Guo Qiudong couldn't help but take a step back. Then it took a lot of effort to control myself and not let myself get so angry that I died of anger. Haha, if Commander Han doesn't believe it, you can ask Chief Cheng to help and find a doctor from the Zhejiang base to take a look. This matter is very simple, and it will be clear once you check it, Len Ning said with a smile. Guo Qiudong's face darkened, and he waved his hand back to tell Len Ning to shut up. No. She didn't even refute. Is there still a need to investigate this matter? Han Yu's infertility is equivalent to the loss of the Han family's incense. How did that happen? Without descendants, what's the point of what he did? If Hall Master Leng has any conditions, just ask for it. Saving people is like putting out fires. The Southern Army base can't wait any longer. Withdrawing his eyes from Han Yu, Guo Qiudong turned around with difficulty and looked at Len Ning. He has no use for a daughter who has lost her fertility. If she wanted it, he would give it to her. This time Len Ning couldn't be so ruthless just to kill Han Yu. There must be other conditions. Just ask for what you want. Anyway, he can only compromise unconditionally at the moment. Len Ning was slightly startled. She misunderstood Guo Qiudong and thought he still wanted to protect Han Yu. Seeing Han Yu move, he seemed to be alive again. There's something we haven't said yet. Naturally, she wouldn't give Han Yu such a chance. Guo Qiudong frowned. You say? Do you know why Commander Chen has been targeting you so recently? He even didn't hesitate to help me plot against you and the Southern Army base. Why? Guo Qiudong asked directly without thinking. The old guy has long since stopped dealing with him, and his words and deeds during this period have become even more exaggerated. Now it has reached the point of uniting with outsiders to harm the Southern Army base, which is indeed a bit crazy. Because he knew that his son Chen Xing was killed by your daughter. And he thought that you also knew about it and had been protecting Han Yu, Len Ning said. Han Qiudong was stunned. Chen Xing is dead, Chong Len Ning asked immediately. Didn't it mean that people were just detained at the Thunder base? He died long ago. He died before your daughter left the Thunder base. She killed her, Len Ning said with a smile. Han Yu trembled and fell to the ground dejectedly again. Len Ning smiled and looked away. It's a bit unbelievable to say that she, a person without superpowers, actually killed Chen Xing, a person with superpowers. Len Ning smiled and threw a USB flash drive to Guo Qiudong. This is a video captured by surveillance. Your daughter was so cruel that she strangled Chen Xing to death. I showed it to Commander Chen a few days ago, Len Ning said openly. Han Qiudong took the USB flash drive. The big hand almost crushed the USB flash drive. What did you do? Then he looked at Han Yu, who was huddled up again. Han Yu just cried and didn't dare to reply. The Wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Ki Now. Chapter 695. South Korea's head tilted upward, and it took a lot of effort to control himself from getting dizzy. Then, his eyes turned cold, and a samurai sword suddenly appeared in his hand. Then Len Ning saw Guo Qiudong slashing at Han Yu. The knife falls from the hand. Han Yu's trembling body fell to the side instantly, and her head detached from her body and rolled to the side. There was a large pool of blood on the ground. Len Ning's eyes shone brightly, and he felt a sense of joy in his heart. It's a pity that she died too easily. Guo Qiudong's hand holding the knife was trembling. He stood and stared at Han Yu's head for a while, then put away the knife and looked back at Len Ning. The culprits who previously plotted against the Yangdao base and the Leng family have been dealt with. We also ask Hall Master Leng to help our Southern Army base, Guo Qiudong said in a deep voice to Len Ning, clasping his fists. That rebellious woman was of no value to him anymore, and she had caused so much trouble for him. It would be a shame to die. Now that the Southern Army base is in danger, he must seek help and go back. Only in this way can he get back together with that old guy named Chen, and his position as commander of the Southern Army base will not be lost. Len Ning glanced at Guo Qiudong. After all, it's still a Korean building, so ruthless. Okay. You go first. My people will start taking action in half an hour. Len Ning raised the corners of his lips. Han Qiudong was stunned. No other conditions, he asked with some disbelief. Commander Han wants me to put forward other conditions, Len Ning asked teasingly. Is it still meaningful for a dying person to ask you for conditions? Commander Chen has already talked to me. No, thank you, Hall Master Leng. Guo Qiudong quickly thanked him. Commander Han, please return quickly. Go back and make arrangements. Fight with us from inside and outside to wipe out this wave of zombies, Len Ning said with a smile. Okay. Farewell, Guo Qiudong said to Len Ning with clasped fists. Then turned around. He paused for a moment when he saw Han Yu's body and Han Yu's head, which had not yet closed its eyes and was looking at him. Within 10 seconds, he was gone. Looking at Guo Qiudong's leaving figure, Len Ning narrowed his eyes. Then, she took out her mobile phone and dialed Zhou Tao's number. Hello, Hall Master. Zhou Tao's voice soon came from the other end of the phone. Guo Qiudong left my place, don't let him go back alive, Len Ning said solemnly. Yes. Don't worry, Hall Master, we have killed all the people he brought, Zhou Tao said with a smile. We are waiting for him at the foot of the mountain. As soon as he comes out of the self-strengthening base, I will send him back to the west immediately. As soon as the matter is done, arrange for the brothers to rescue the Southern Army base. Also, remember to cut off Guoqiudong's head and bring it to me, Len Ning instructed. She had promised Commander Chen to give him the heads of the Han family and his daughter, and she could not break her promise. Yes. Len Ning smiled and hung up the phone. Seeing that Han Yu's head had turned into a zombie and moved, and his eyes were still looking at him greedily, as if he wanted to rush at him, Len Ning finally got up and walked towards Han Yu on his own initiative. Then he took out a box from the space ring and squatted down. It's a pity that Huo Xiao is not here, otherwise I would put all three of you together, Len Ning sighed, picked up Han Yu's head and put it in the box. Under Han Yu's greedy and fierce gaze, Len Ning closed the box and then walked out of the room with the box. As soon as he left the room and walked into the yard, Leader Chen came in from outside with Mr. Yang and Xiaobao. The three of them were a little confused when they saw the box in Len Ning's hand and there were some noises in the box. Len Ning remained calm and put the box behind her, avoiding the eyes of a few people and looking at her box. Master Len is going out, Leader Chen asked Len Ning. Yes. We have already negotiated with Commander Han. We have to arrange for people to go to the Southern Army base for rescue. I will go too. There are too many zombies and Zhou Tao has brought too few people. She can be more efficient. Besides, Xiaoman and Xiao Hui, the two big killers, have been arguing for a long time. Do you need help from our Ziqiang base? Leader Chen asked. And our knife-raising base? Mr. Yang followed. Previously, Hall Master Leng signaled that they would not be allowed to help the Southern Army base. Now that Hall Master Leng has changed his mind, they are helping Hall Master Leng by helping the Southern Army base. Yeah, Len Ning nodded. If you're interested, let's come together. There are a lot of zombies in the zombie wave, so it's good to kill some and get some crystal cores. Leader Chen and Mr. Yang looked happy and nodded quickly. Good. Leader Chen had just clasped his fists at Len Ning and was about to say goodbye and arrange the arrangement, when Len Ning suddenly said, Chief Chang, well, Commander Han just executed the culprit of the last incident inside. The body is still inside, so, please ask Leader Chen to deal with it, Len Ning said with a bit of embarrassment. After all, this place belongs to someone else. It's really embarrassing to kill someone and leave the body there. Guoqiudong is also cold-blooded. Han Yu is his biological daughter after all. After killing him, he didn't even help her collect the corpse, and allowed her to turn into a zombie. Haha, but if he really wants to accept it, the most she can do is give him the body. After all, she promised to give the head to Commander Chen. Leader Chen and Mr. Yang were stunned at the same time. The culprit? Isn't this an order from South Korea? Most likely he is the one taking the blame. But this is no longer important. Guoqiudong brought the person and killed him in front of Hall Master Leng, which was considered an explanation to her. Since Hall Master Leng doesn't care anymore, what can they say? Okay. I'll arrange for someone to handle it later, Chief Cheng said. This is the end of the world. Zombies are roaming around outside every day, so killing someone in his house is nothing. Not so many taboos. I will ask Zhou Tao and the others to block the subsequent flow of zombies later. I will lead a group of people from the back mountain of the Southern Army base to join forces with the people at the Southern Army base to resist the zombie wave. You and Zhou Tao's remaining people will kill them outside. Zombies. We will attack from inside and outside to defeat all the zombies, Len Ning said solemnly. Okay, Leader Cheng said excitedly. No problem, Mr. Yang also said. Killing zombies outside is much safer than inside. If you fail to defeat them, retreating is not a big problem. If they were inside, they would be defeated and there would be no place to hide. Moreover, if the zombie wave floods into the base's defense line, it will be extremely destructive. It's so kind of Hall Master Leng to not care about Guoqiudong and take the initiative to put himself in danger to help the Southern Army base. Len Ning looked at the two of them and nodded before leaving. Xiaobao looked at Len Ning's leaving figure, his eyes lingering on the box in Len Ning's hand for a long time. "Boss, what is in that box? It must be alive, it was making a sound just now. And she didn't put the box in the space ring. Only living things can't be put in space jade, right? What is it then?" "Stop looking, let's go," Mr. Yang called Xiaobao. The wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Kge Now. Chapter 696. Xiaobao came back to his senses and hurriedly followed his grandfather. On the other side, Len Ning walked out of Chief Cheng's house. As soon as he took out the car and got in, he received a call from Zhou Tao. "Hall Master, Kuokuadong has been dealt with." Zhou Tao's voice came from the other end of the phone. "Yeah." Len Ning's eyes lit up. "Gather 50 people and wait for me. I'm going down the mountain now," Len Ning ordered. "Yes." Len Ning hung up the phone and drove down the mountain. After a while, she reached the foot of the mountain. At this time, Zhou Tao's people had all lined up neatly. As soon as Len Ning arrived, everyone followed Zhou Tao to say hello to Len Ning. Len Ning glanced at the soldiers and turned towards Zhou Tao. "Where's Guokuadong?" She looked around, but she didn't find Guokuadong's whereabouts. The corpse was eaten clean by the zombies. "The head is here," Zhou Tao said and took out a head from his space ring. Len Ning saw that Guokuadong's head had lost the breath of life, and a hint of disappointment flashed in his eyes. Then he took the head and put it in his box. Zhou Tao was a little surprised when he saw that there was another head in Len Ning's box, and it was Han Yu. But he didn't ask any more questions. As the backbone leader of the fifth branch, he didn't know exactly what happened between the leader and Han Yu, but he also knew that the leader was very targeted towards Han Yu. What a good person the Hall Master is. It would be a pity to die for that woman to provoke her to this extent. Len Ning put the box away again and glanced at Zhou Tao. Seeing that there was no curiosity in his eyes, he didn't explain much. "Now that the matter has been settled, we will rescue the Southern Army base as promised," Len Ning said to Zhou Tao. "Next, we will split up. I will take these 50 brothers from the back mountain of the Southern Army base and cooperate with the people inside the Southern Army base to resist the wave of zombie killing. You take the remaining people with the brothers from Yangdao base and Zhejiang base on the outside support." "I'll go with you," Zhou Tao said immediately. At this time, the South Army base is much more dangerous than outside. Len Ning raised the corners of his lips. "They can't handle the zombies outside just by relying on the self-strengthening base and Yangdao base. You have to stay. Besides, I also made the delivery when I went to the Southern Army base," Len Ning said, picking up the box in his hand. "Commander Chen should probably be worried." A flash of struggle flashed across Zhou Tao's face. "Yes," finally took the order. "Yeah," Len Ning nodded. Then he turned and looked at the soldiers. "Come with me." Following the order, the soldiers acted quickly. The military truck followed Len Ning's cross-country heading towards the Southern Army base. Along the way, Len Ning saw that the situation outside was much worse than she expected. The Southern Army base is originally located near an important transportation hub. Once the zombie wave starts, it will be difficult to end. Although Zhou Tao and the others blocked several previously arranged zombie flows in time, it was difficult to stop those that had already formed. But she wasn't too worried for the time being. Her brothers in the second branch were all good players, and if they spent more time, they could kill the zombie wave. Next, if things get really difficult, she can call back to the fifth branch and call in some reinforcements. Soon, Len Ning led the soldiers to the mountains behind the Southern Army base. At this time, the back mountain of the Southern Army base was no longer peaceful. There were too many zombies and they had already reached the back mountain. When they arrived, there were more than a dozen people at the Southern Army base killing the zombies, which were not too dense. Len Ning did not stop and continued to lead the soldiers to the Southern Army base headquarters. As soon as he arrived, Len Ning saw Commander Chen waiting with a group of people by the roadside. Those people were wearing military uniforms and were all senior officials of the Southern Army base. "Hall Master Len, you're here." As soon as Len Ning parked his car, Commander Chen came to greet him. When he walked to the car, he took the initiative to open the door for Len Ning. "Chen Jun has been waiting for a long time." Len Ning got out of the car with the box. The senior officials of the Southern Army base were far away from each other and did not pay much attention to the box in Len Ning's hand. But Commander Chen was so close that he immediately heard movement in the box. He couldn't help but look at Len Ning's box. Len Ning raised the corners of his lips and handed the box directly to Commander Chen. "This is a gift for you, Commander Chen," then he said with a deep look in his eyes. Chen Jun was stunned. He instantly understood the meaning of Len Ning's words and quickly took the box into his hands. Thinking that the box was most likely to contain what he was thinking of, Commander Chen was trembling with excitement. "Master Len, the zombie wave is coming so fiercely that we can hardly resist it. Please help us," Commander Chen said anxiously to Len Ning, suppressing the joy in his heart. Not far behind Commander Chen, many senior officials also looked at Len Ning anxiously. "Hall Master Len only brought so few people, is that enough?" Len Ning smiled. "Oh, I brought the brothers here just to help." "Just, these people?" Commander Chen glanced at the soldiers brought by Len Ning. Len Ning took a look at the soldiers and said, "There are a few people, but they are all the elites of my fifth branch. Their supernatural power levels are at least level 3, intermediate level and above, and a few are up to level 4. They are all full of, after hundreds of battles, countless zombies were killed." Everyone in the Southern Army base was shocked. "The power level is at least level 3, intermediate or above. Are there any who are on the 4th level? So many people?" They have known for a long time that there are many powerful people with supernatural powers in the Thunder base, but so many people are above the 3rd level and intermediate level? There is still level 4. Is it so easy to level up? Even if their southern military base has a project to build high-end crystal cores, the talent training is not that exaggerated. In this Thunder base, is their mysterious pill really so powerful? I will lead my brothers to fight with you. There are Yangdao base, Zhejiang base, and some brothers from my 5th branch fighting on the outside. As long as we can hold the line of defense, the zombie wave will be wiped out sooner or later." "Okay. With Hall Master Len here, we feel at ease," Commander Chen said. Len Ning also participated in the battle personally, so this zombie wave was not so scary. Yes, they had seen Len Ning kill zombies. Guo Qiudong didn't know where he found the video at the time and played it directly to them at the military meeting. The scene in the video is shocking and magnificent. Len Ning is like a hell-killing god, and zombies are constantly being killed by her wood-type spiritual pet under her command. Her combat power alone is almost equivalent to that of an army. Hurry up and make arrangements. Then take us to the front line, Len Ning urged. "Oh, okay," Commander Chen said quickly. Just as Commander Chen turned around, someone suddenly asked loudly, "Hall Master Len, have you seen our commander? Our commander has gone to Zhejiang base to find you. It has been almost an hour since we left." Commander Chen frowned slightly. This man was from South Korea's First Party. As soon as the man spoke, the senior officials all looked at Len Ning. Yes, the commander took the young lady to the Zhejiang base to apologize to Hall Master Len. Hall Master Len is here now, but where are their commander and young lady? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Ki Now. Chapter 697. Why are you asking these questions? Now the life and death of the base is at stake. Let's mobilize troops first. By the time he comes back, the day lilies will be cold, Commander Chen said displeased. It looked like Kuokuadong didn't care about the South Army base at all. Everyone agreed with Commander Chen's words. It is important to resist the zombie wave now. The commander is not here now, so they should obey Commander Chen's orders. The man couldn't resist the public opinion and lowered his head. He struggled in his heart, but soon looked up at Len Ning and Commander Chen again. The commander is the highest commander of our southern military base. In his absence, we dare not act rashly. Without waiting for anyone to react, the man asked Len Ning again, "Hall Master Len, have you seen our commander? Is it him who begged you to come for rescue?" Len Ning had a bad attitude towards them in the conference room before, asking the commander to bring the lady to the door to apologize, but hung up the phone before the commander could reply. Now she came to help, it must be because the commander came to ask for her help. How could Commander Chen cling to this matter and take the opportunity to bury the commander's achievements? Commander Chen's face darkened, and he was about to scold the man loudly. But I heard Len Ning say, "I saw him. He left before me." "What? He hasn't come back yet," Len Ning said with a hint of displeasure in his tone. The senior officials immediately started talking about it. The commander left before Hall Master Len, but he didn't come back. What does it mean? There are so many zombies outside, could it be? But it shouldn't be. The commander brought 10 elite psychics with him before setting off, so something shouldn't happen. Humph, Len Ning chuckled. It's not because of him that I came to help. It was because of Commander Chen calling me. Len Ning glanced at the man. Therefore, this credit does not belong to your commander. The man's face turned pale. For a time, the senior officials started talking about it. When the commander found Hall Master Leng did not agree to rescue them. Without Hall Master Leng's rescue, their southern army base would definitely be destroyed. Under such circumstances, Commander, is he? Thinking of this speculation, everyone looked at me and I looked at you, complaining and hating in their hearts. Could it be that he saw that the situation was not good and just ran away? You, how can you think so much of the commander? Our southern army base has developed to this level, isn't it all because of the leadership of the commander? The man was anxious and said loudly. Master Leng, although you promised to come to the rescue and are the benefactor of our southern military base, you can't talk nonsense and slander the innocence of our commander, the man actually said to Len Ning. After all, she was responsible for this zombie wave, and now she is taking such a high position to be the benefactor of the southern army base and slandering their commander. Len Ning frowned. Before she could speak, the senior officials were already talking and blaming that person. Now that they have finally arrived with reinforcements, if this makes him angry, will all of them be buried with him? Shut up. How dare you disrespect Hall Master Leng? Someone, drag him down and lock him up, Commander Chen said angrily. Immediately, soldiers came out to take someone away. I don't accept it. I am the commander's direct subordinate, you can't control me, the man said immediately. Commander Chen's eyes turned cold. Suddenly there was a pistol in his hand. Then the gunshot rang out and the man fell down. The incident happened so quickly that the senior executives present were so frightened that their faces turned pale. Especially those who followed Guokuadong before, now they don't dare to say a word. The tide has changed. At this time of life and death, if anyone disrespects Hall Master Leng and disturbs the morale of the army, he will be shot directly, Commander Chen said sternly. Len Ning glanced at Commander Chen, with some admiration in his eyes. After all, he is a military commander, and he still has some skills. The senior officials did not dare to look at Commander Chen and Len Ning, and they all fell silent. I really don't know the whereabouts of Commander Han. Len Ning looked at everyone. However, since he has not returned to the southern army base, as I may be the last person he saw before his disappearance, I am afraid this matter will become an unsolved case unless I make it clear. Len Ning took out a camera from the space ring. This is the camera at the home of Chief Cheng of the self-strengthening base. It recorded the entire process of Commander Han bringing Miss Han to my door to apologize to me, Len Ning said, and handed the camera to Commander Chen. The camera only captured images and did not record sound. These people have no way of knowing about her conversation with Guo Qiudong. The person who killed Han Yu was Guo Qiudong, and Guo Qiudong also left the room on camera. She was not to blame for their deaths. Commander Chen quickly took the camera into his hand. Commander Han asked me how we could calm down and not affect the subsequent relationship between the Southern Army base and the Leng family. I only made one request. Len Ning paused. Let him execute the culprit. The hearts of all the senior executives sank. Execute the culprit? Isn't the culprit their commander's daughter? I didn't expect that it was Miss Han who plotted against Yangdao base and our Leng family before, Len Ning said with a chuckle. Ha! But so what? If you dare to go against Leng, you have to pay the price. Everyone's hearts sank. This woman is not easy to mess with. With such a character, she is so strong. If anyone tries to get in trouble with her, wouldn't they be seeking death? That Han Yu deserves to die too. Without her, how could their southern military base encounter this disaster? In order to help Commander Han make up his mind, I told him some of Miss Han's previous love affairs, Len Ning said with a chuckle. Originally, I thought Commander Han would struggle and hesitate. Who knew that when Commander Han learned that his daughter was no longer fertile, he actually killed Han Yu himself immediately afterwards, Len Ning told a shocking fact. Everyone present was shocked. Their commander killed his own daughter? Or did he kill it with his own hands? The tiger's poison doesn't even eat its seeds, can he kill it? However, since the commander brought his daughter back, he has indeed been very concerned about her marriage. Many of them present had been approached by the commander and said they were interested in marrying them. Everyone could see that the commander just wanted to have a grandson as soon as possible. But who among them can fall in love with that woman? She was so coquettish that she secretly hooked up with many people, many of whom were here. Everyone is tacitly understanding it, not saying it clearly. After Commander Han killed Han Yu, I immediately asked my men to cut off several zombie streams to prevent all zombies from converging towards the Southern Army base. Han Yu's conspiracy against our Leng family has been revealed. But I have no intention of rescuing the southern military base. Everyone's hearts sank. After all, I have no friendship with your Commander Han. He even had some targeting of our Leng family before. If Commander Chen hadn't contacted me, I really wouldn't have wanted to make this trip, Len Ning said disdainfully. The Wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Qi Now. Chapter 698. Everyone immediately looked at Commander Chen. Commander Chen's expression was complicated and helpless. Everyone sighed in their hearts. Commander Chen saved their base this time, but he never took credit for it, which was in stark contrast to the commander. Len Ning raised the corners of his lips with a hint of sarcasm on his face. I really don't know where your Commander Han is. I mean, I didn't say he escaped. But if he didn't escape, where did he go? Of course, it was in the box held by Commander Chen. He. Everyone lowered their heads and whispered, their dissatisfaction with Guo Qiudong fermenting, and at the same time, they praised Commander Chen more and more. I was not the only one who saw Commander Han leave Zhejiang base. If you don't worry, you can send people to Zhejiang base to investigate afterwards. See if what I said is true or not, Len Ning continued. As soon as these words came out, those who were originally silent and had doubts about this matter also relaxed. Hall Master Leng took out the video evidence and asked them to send people to the self-strengthening base to investigate, fearing that their commander might have escaped. Now that the base is at a critical moment of life and death, everyone should stop thinking so much. In the absence of the commander, Commander Chen has the highest rank in the military headquarters. I suggest that everyone obey the commander's orders first. For the rest, wait until this zombie wave has passed, and the military headquarters will set up a dedicated let's investigate with the investigation team. A neutralist stood up and said. How long has it been since these two groups are still fighting? Shouldn't we resolve the current crisis first? Yes, let's do it, someone agreed. Yes. The others agreed. Commander Chen, give the order. The man immediately looked at Commander Chen. Commander Chen looked stern and immediately made arrangements on the spot. Then someone led Len Ning and others to the front line. When Len Ning and others arrived at the front line, they discovered that the zombie wave was coming fiercely, and an important level had been breached. There were screams from the scene, and many soldiers were torn into pieces by the zombies, and then they were devoured by the zombies. Many soldiers along the line became afraid, and some actually ran back. The soldiers and officers who led Len Ning and others turned blue when they saw this scene. He took out his pistol and shot two of the fleeing soldiers to death. Those who retreat will die, shouted loudly. This move successfully prevented some people from retreating. But what awaits them is to be torn apart and eaten by zombies. Len Ning narrowed his eyes and rushed forward. Then Xiaoman's huge vine system suddenly appeared, and a large clearing was carved out of the zombie wave. This astonishing scene almost stunned the soldiers at the Southern Army base. Is this the superpower of Hall Master Leng? Wood variant. So strong. The soldiers of the 5th Hall had a look of pride on their faces. They followed Len Ning immediately after Len Ning carved out a large enough space and issued an order for them to join the battle. Someone took over the territory he had laid, so Len Ning drove Xiao Man towards the center of the zombie wave. Then, Xiao Huai also came out to join the battle, once again giving everyone in the Southern Army base a visual impact. When the on-site officers saw that the people from Thunder Base helped them retake the level and enter the zombie wave, they quickly asked the soldiers to continue to defend and use guns and special powers to attack the approaching zombie wave at close range. Great, they're waiting for help. The base can definitely be saved. Commander Chen and others on the mountain also saw everything that happened down the mountain through telescopes. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, Hall Master Leng arrived in time, otherwise the consequences would have been unimaginable. A senior military official sighed. Some people still doubt Hall Master Leng, a member of Commander Chen's faction said, looking at the accomplices of the man who was shot before. The comrade hung his head in embarrassment. In the situation just now, his colleague really did something wrong. The Southern Army base was already in this situation, and he still didn't understand the situation clearly enough to offend Hall Master Leng. Commander Chen was right to kill him so as not to offend Hall Master Leng. If it weren't for Hall Master Leng, all of them would have become meat in the mouths of zombies today. Hey, according to the current situation, no matter whether their commander really ran away or pretended to run away, after today, the weather in this Southern Army base will definitely change. The comrade raised his head and glanced in the direction of Commander Chen, thinking that maybe he had to act sooner. With the commander gone, Commander Chen will take action against them sooner or later. Instead of waiting to be punished, it is better to surrender in advance so that he will not live a miserable life in the future. There are not a few people who think the same as this party. Everyone had their own plans in mind. When the matter is over, we have to thank Hall Master Leng. His companions looked at Commander Chen and said. Saying this is a sign of goodwill. Yes, Commander Chen glanced at his comrades and responded. No more words were said. His companion suppressed the flattering smile on his face, feeling a little embarrassed and not knowing what else to say. Seeing everyone and Commander Chen looking down the mountain, he did not dare to say anything more. Thinking that it would be better to go to Commander Chen's house to talk about his submission in person when this matter is over. On the other side, since Len Ning left the battle, the suspense of extinguishing this zombie wave almost quickly disappeared. Only about 6 hours passed before the devastating disaster at the southern military base was resolved. Commander Chen and others were naturally grateful to Len Ning and her people, but Len Ning didn't say much. He only asked Commander Chen to keep his promise and left with the soldiers. As soon as Len Ning left, the senior military officials asked Commander Chen what conditions he had agreed to Len Ning. Only then did Commander Chen tell the news about Len Ning's important person. Although this condition would greatly reduce the population of their southern military base, it was not excessive, and the senior officials did not dare to say anything. Besides, given the current situation, who among them dares to say anything more? It is basically a certainty that Commander Chen will replace Commander Han as the top spot in the southern military base. Who dares to go against him again? After all, the one who was shot before was a lesson learned. Commander Chen arranged for the soldiers to carry out the cleaning work, and then returned home. When he got home, he called his wife, and the couple went into the study alone. "Why did you ask me to come here? Didn't Hall Master Leng come today? Why didn't you invite her over? Xiao Xing hasn't come back yet, and you, a father, can't stand it," Commander Chen's wife shouted at him. "Road. Where is Hall Master Len now? Take me to find her. I'll tell her. Whether I kneel down or kowtow to her, I will ask her to return her son to me," the woman said, and grabbed Commander Chen. He even used his strength to pull him out. "Let go," Commander Chen's face flashed with irritation, and he shook the woman's hand away. The woman's hand failed and she almost fell forward. Commander Chen's expression changed slightly, and he didn't step forward until he saw the woman steadying herself. "Hey Chenison, how dare you push me? I'm not done with you today," the woman suddenly got angry. The Wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Ki Now. Chapter 699. Rushing towards Commander Chen. A flash of irritation flashed across Commander Chen's face, and he held the woman's arms with both hands. Then he used all his strength to control the woman who was charging towards him. "That's enough," then he roared angrily. The woman was frightened by Commander Chen's voice and finally stopped acting. "Chen Xing can't come back." After waiting for 2 seconds, Commander Chen finally said seriously. The woman was stunned. "What do you mean?" he asked Commander Chen. "Our son, he can't come back." Commander Chen squeezed the woman's arms hard and looked directly into her eyes. There was pain in the woman's eyes. "Chen, what did you say?" she asked with a strong voice, but she had already avoided Commander Chen's sight. It has been more than half a year since her son was detained at the Thunder base. She has not even glanced at him in such a long time, nor received any letters from him. In fact, she has already had bad suspicions in her mind. It's just that there was no news from the Thunder base about what happened to their son, so she looked forward to it with uneasiness, thinking that maybe her son would be back soon. But now, what does the surname Chen mean? My son can't come back. He was staying at the Thunder base. Well, why couldn't he come back? Chen Xing died a long time ago. He has been dead for more than half a year, Commander Chen said sadly, unwilling to let his wife escape anymore. It had been a few days since he knew the truth, and he had been very miserable these past few days. At the military headquarters, he had to pretend not to know anything about it and deal with Guo Qiudong. When he returned home, he had to endure his wife's behavior and let her take out her anger on him. Now that her son's revenge has been avenged, it's time for her to know the truth. "You're talking nonsense. My son will never die. How can I be a father like you? You just don't care about him, and now you are cursing him to death." The woman dared not believe it, so she could only talk to Commander Chen in a loud voice. "It's really dead. I buried it with my own hands." Commander Chen shook the woman vigorously, while a line of tears flowed from his eyes. At that time, Len Ning handed over his son who had turned into a zombie. After he brought his son back, he stayed alone with him for more than an hour and hesitated for a long time before giving him relief. His son, the arrogant and playboy in the eyes of others, turned into that disgusting and ugly look. If he was still alive, he would definitely not be able to accept it. What did you say? The woman swayed and almost fell if Commander Chen hadn't supported her. A flash of pain flashed in Commander Chen's eyes. My son is dead. He was killed by that girl from the Han family. The woman was stunned. Impossible. That girl said she wanted to wait for Xiao Xing and become my daughter-in-law, she immediately said to Commander Chen. She lied to you. Hall Master Leng gave me a surveillance video. That girl killed Chen Xing before leaving Thunder Base, Commander Chen said sadly. Seeing that his wife didn't move anymore, Commander Chen let go of his wife's arms. Then he took out the tablet from his space ring, found the video, clicked play, and handed it to her to watch. The woman took the tablet in a daze, tears streaming down her face while watching the video played on it, and then sat on the ground and howled. Commander Chen looked worried and guarded the woman to let her cry. It took more than half an hour before he finally lifted her up and took her to the sofa to sit down. Then, Commander Chen told his wife what Len Ning told him. Kill that bitch and let her give our son's life, the woman said in a hoarse voice. How could that bitch do it? She killed her son and even came to her to please her, making her recognize her as the Chen family's daughter-in-law. She really wanted to tear her face apart. Leave her to the zombies. Already killed, Commander Chen said with cold eyes. The woman was stunned. Then, Commander Chen told the woman about Len Ning's agreement with him and all his subsequent actions. Then Commander Chen got up and went to the desk not far away to get the box that Len Ning gave him. The woman looked at the box in Commander Chen's hand and heard the sound coming from inside. She felt both fear and expectation in her heart. Commander Chen put the box on the coffee table. This is the box sent by Len Ning. I haven't opened it yet. As expected, inside are the heads of the two bastards from the Han family. Commander Chen looked at the box angrily. Open it, the woman suddenly said. Commander Chen was stunned. I glanced at my wife and saw that she was staring straight at the box with no intention of avoiding it. Okay then, he responded. The Han family's father and daughter were the murderers of their son, and it was time for his wife to see the fate of her enemy. Thinking of this, Commander Chen reached out to the switch of the box. Soon the box was opened. The scene upon entering is horrifying. There are indeed two heads in the box, and they are indeed Guo Qiudong and Han Yu. But Guo Qiudong's head had been bitten beyond recognition by Han Yu at this moment, and the whole head looked particularly oozing. When Han Yu saw the Chen couple, she immediately let go of Guo Qiudong's head and looked at them. Her pupils were greedy and she made a weird jaja sound in her mouth, which made the Chen family and his wife tremble. However, hatred covered up fear, and the woman forced herself to look at Han Yu. Where is my son's grave? After 5 seconds, the woman asked Commander Chen. It's over there at XXXX, Commander Chen said seriously. Bury these two bitches next to your son's grave and let them apologize to him, the woman said solemnly. South Korea Dong, let him be eaten clean by her daughter. And Han Yu, this bitch, will let her be a zombie for the rest of her life, and she will never be able to escape. Okay, Commander Chen looked at the two heads with stern eyes. Then the couple was silent for a long time. It wasn't until Commander Chen stood up and held his wife's head, letting her lean into his arms, that his wife began to cry again. In the evening, Commander Chen took his wife and a close subordinate to visit Chen Xing's grave. Then he asked his confidants to dig a pit next to Chen Xing's grave and bury the boxes containing the Han family's father and daughter in the pit. At this point, the news of Chen Xing's death was finally announced. Afterwards, Commander Chen quickly began to purge the military headquarters. Except for most of the senior officials who took the initiative to defect to him, all those who were members of the South Korean Dong-ai party were killed under the order of Commander Chen. The weather at the southern military base has finally changed. After the investigation team dispatched by the South Army base returned from Zhejiang base and informed the military that what Len Ning said was true and that Guo Qiudong had indeed left Zhejiang base safely, the military voted to remove Guo Qiudong from the command position and replaced him with Commander Chen. Became the new commander-in-chief of the southern military base. Just like that, Commander Chen, oh no, Commander Chen is now in complete control of the Southern Army base. Subsequently, the cooperation between the Southern Army base and the Thunder base increased day by day. Many people in the Southern Army base were sent to the safety zone of City A at the same time. The Leng family no longer restricted the purchase of some materials in the Southern Army base. The Southern Army base received the same treatment as other bases. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Ki Now. Chapter 700. Even after many communications between Commander Chen and Leng, the Southern Army base became an important partner of Leng's and undertook many of Leng's projects. At this point, the Thunder base has become the most powerful base in southern China. At the same time, the construction of the safety zone in Sitia is finally coming to an end. Thunder base has also begun to implement zombie cleaning activities, which are targeted at cleaning up the entire city. This morning, the 5th branch of the safety zone was temporarily stationed. Hall Master, the brothers from 13,579 are here. Where are we going today? Sun Chi happily walked towards Lenning. Since Mr. Lei ordered all the branches to officially start the zombie eradication plan 3 days ago, all the branches are now on stimulants. Not only their 5th branch, but also branches from other branches also join the battle. Now the soldiers go out most of the day, and everyone can return home with a full load. Chengdong. Teacher Zhang contacted me last night and said that he wanted to join forces with our 5th branch to do something big, Len Ning said with a smile. After looking at the watch, Len Ning continued, they should have made arrangements by now. We will start killing immediately after we get there. Sun Chi's eyes lit up, then are we enough people? The regulations of the military department are that the number of troops leaving the safe zone every day can only account for at most half of the total troops. That's why their 5th branch divided the rudders into 2 groups, allowing rudders 13,579 and 24,680 to take turns on the battlefield. Although strictly speaking, the number of people at the helm is not completely balanced, the difference is not big. In this way, all soldiers have the opportunity to go to the battlefield, and it is more fair. So many people are not enough. Len Ning chuckled and said, come on, we can't arrange more people. We have to abide by the regulations of the military department. Tell the brothers to get in the car and set off. I'm afraid Teacher Zhang and the others have already prepared the arrangements. This time we will pick up the ready-made ones, Len Ning said and walked forward. Yes, Sun Chi said quickly with joy on his face. Soon, the 5th branch's convoy headed towards the east area of the city. Not long after Len Ning got in the car, she received a call from JAC. With a raised corner of his lips, Len Ning swiped the connection option. Hey, Teacher Zhang. Master Len, where are you? The zombie wave has formed. If your 5th branch doesn't come, we won't be able to withstand it. Zhang Huai's anxious voice came from the other end of the phone. The soldiers in their 6th branch were the weakest. In order to get more crystal cores, he found the strongest 5th branch. Thinking that by combining the strengths and weaknesses of both parties, they could come to the east area of the city where there are the most zombies and do something big. They are not strong enough, so they can only put in more effort, choose the place and target first, and launch the net in advance. For today's event, they have been setting up since yesterday afternoon. Now that the dishes have been made, only the people from the 5th branch can take over as the main force. But it's already 8 o'clock, and the people from the 5th branch haven't arrived yet. Why isn't this making him anxious? We're almost entering the eastern part of the city, don't worry, Len Ning said cheerfully. By the way, How many zombies are probably surrounding us? This time they dispatched so many people from the fifth branch, but if there were only tens of thousands of zombies, it wouldn't mean much. At least 300,000, which is definitely enough for us to work for a day, Zhang Huai replied. Zhang Huai felt relieved when he heard the news that Len Ning was almost here. With so many zombies gathered, it would be impossible for them in the sixth branch to handle it. If Len Ning doesn't come, they may have to withdraw soon. But no need now, they can make a lot of money by getting rid of these zombies. Okay, we'll be there soon. Len Ning's eyes flashed and he stepped on the accelerator. She is going to send out more than 300,000 zombies. 10 minutes later, Len Ning successfully joined Zhang Huai. After taking a condescending look at the mighty zombie army, Len Ning and Zhang Huai arranged their respective mission lines for their respective helmsmen. Then, Len Ning and Zhang Huai each led a team of people into the zombie wave. In this way, the corpse-killing activities in the east area of the city began. At the same time, the four hall masters were also carrying out their own activities elsewhere. Over the Blue Star, the number of zombies in Cydia detected by satellites began to decrease. 2 weeks later, Kyoto. Commander, this is the zombie distribution map in the area sent by satellite. It is very different from 2 weeks ago. Division Commander Wang Ji went to Commander Li. Commander Li took the two pictures and compared them, and saw that the red dots distributed on them had indeed decreased sharply. The number of red dots remaining in the second picture was almost only a quarter of the first picture. Moreover, the distribution of red dots in the second picture is much more scattered than in the first picture. What does this mean? The number of zombies in this city has dropped significantly in the past 2 weeks. It's a very large one. Where is this? Commander Li asked immediately. Since the satellite was restored, he arranged for Wang Ji to send people to stare at the satellite images to investigate the zombie situation in major cities in China. But half a year has passed, and the situation in major cities is similar to that of Kyoto, a world full of zombies. This was the first time that Wang Ji brought him such good news. City A, Wang Ji said with bright eyes. Commander Li was stunned. That place where Lu Rud stayed before you mentioned, he had some impressions of the city A. Yeah, Wang Ji said excitedly. Just over a month ago, Lu Rud called him and informed him of the existence of the Thunder Base in City A. It is said that the Thunder Base is the most powerful base in southern China, and it is more likely to be the most powerful base in the entire country of China. At that time, Lu Rud also expressed the Thunder Base's desire to get in touch with Kyoto. He didn't take it seriously at the time. Although he has heard the name of Thunder Base, he does not really take this base seriously. After all, this base did not have a military background before the end of the world, and a base established by civilians may not be strong even if it is strong. Where to go? Lu Rud is his old friend, and they had a good relationship before the end of the world. But when he called, he had a lot of things on his hands, so he didn't talk to him much, and he never got around to contacting him later. Now it seems that he underestimated this Thunder Base. Satellite images show that the number of zombies in Cydia has dropped sharply in the past 2 weeks. What does this mean? Thunder Base has definitely launched a large-scale zombie cleanup operation. In just 2 weeks, 3/4 of the zombies in Cydia were eliminated. Such fighting power is shocking. You must know that before the end of the world, Cydia itself was the largest municipality directly under the central government in China, with a population even larger than Kyoto. Commander Li withdrew his gaze from Wang Ji's face and looked at the two pictures in his hands again. After a long time, I put the picture on the desk. Go and contact Lu Rud and see what he says, Commander Li said solemnly. After the end of the world, they established a base in Kyoto and stood in a corner of the city. They originally thought of finding an opportunity to clear out the zombies and plan a counterattack, but found that they simply couldn't do it. The Wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Kiji Now. Chapter 701. Not only that, as the zombies outside become stronger, the zombies will occasionally form a zombie wave to attack their base. Although these zombie waves cannot destroy their base, they are still a huge threat to them. Not only is this the case for them, but it is actually the same in all major cities in China. They were doing pretty well. After all, they had a large number of people, a large territory, and well-equipped equipment. Even if the zombie wave hit them, they wouldn't be able to swallow them up. Some small bases are different. Since the end of the world, countless small bases have been destroyed in various parts of China. As far as Kyoto is concerned, there are already many large and small bases destroyed by the zombie wave. He originally thought that this apocalyptic battle would last for a long time, and that there was even little hope for mankind to win, but now he suddenly saw hope. This hope is City A. Yes, Wang Ji said excitedly. Turn around and leave. Wang Ji quickly stopped and turned around. If necessary, go to Thunder Base, Chief Li said. Anyway, they also need to purchase food supplies. It is said that the largest food supplier in China is now at the Thunder Base, and the food output is unimaginably large. Yes, Wang Ji's eyes became even more excited. He likes going on business trips. Stop by and meet that guy Lu Rud. I haven't seen him for so long after the end of the world, so it's just the right time to get together with him. Next, I heard that Leng's enterprise, which has a wide range of business, is located in the Thunder Base. It is a cost-effective trip for him. Yeah. Go ahead, Chief Li nodded. I hope he can bring back good news. Yes, Wang Ji then left. After leaving Chief Li's office and walking out of the office building, Wang Ji immediately took out his cell phone and dialed Lu Rud's number. Listening to the outgoing call, Wang Ji was excited and looked forward to hearing Lu Rud's voice as soon as possible. But after waiting for a while, the other party didn't answer. The anticipation in Wang Ji's heart slowly receded and he became a little anxious. After the phone got busy, he hung up and continued dialing. Another more than 30 seconds of waiting. Hello. Just when Wang Ji was feeling depressed and about to hang up, Lu Rud's voice finally came from the other end of the phone. Hey, brother Lu, please answer the phone, Wang Ji shouted in a loud voice. It's Mr. Wang. What do you want from me? Lu Rud recognized Wang Ji's voice and asked him. This old boy, he called his office before and told him so much, but he didn't pay attention at all. I promised to contact him later, but I never called him back. It's been more than a month, why are you still contacting him? Hey, brother Lu, just call me Wang Ji. Sir, that sounds like a lot of outsiders, Wang Ji said with a smile. Lu Rud was stunned. I soon heard something. It seems that this guy didn't call just to chat with him. Ahem, you are now the division commander of the Kyoto base. You have a high position. It would be better for me to respect him a little. Lu Rud felt wary in his heart and said to Wang Ji. Then he got ahead of Wang Ji and asked again, why did Mr. Wang call me? Hey, I haven't seen you for a long time, old friend. Can't I chat with you? Wang Ji said. Oh, a flash of light flashed in Lu Rud's eyes. Since there's nothing important, I'm a little busy here, why don't I get back to you when I'm free then, he said. This is what Wang Ji said when he hung up the phone last time, I'll get back to you when I'm free. Wang Ji couldn't understand Lu Rud's meaning, and said quickly, Danti, it's important, why is this old man so vindictive? He was really busy before and forgot about it afterwards, so he didn't call him back. Won't he call him now? Why are you so stingy? Speak directly, Lu Rud said in a high voice. He has been a diplomat for so many years, but he still can't hear his little thoughts? Wang Ji or people from Kyoto will come looking for him, it is a matter of time. Just because their Thunder base is so powerful now, and its development momentum is getting better and better, there are countless bases who want to talk to him and establish diplomatic relations with the Thunder base every day. He had taken the initiative to contact Kyoto before. After listening to Mr. Lei's words, he felt that the Thunder base must move closer to the capital of China in the next step. Secondly, he was from Kyoto before the end of the world. At this time, he also hopes that Kyoto can establish diplomatic relations with the Thunder base as soon as possible. Wang Ji was lucky enough to treat him as someone who wanted to curry favor with him, so he hung up the phone on an excuse without even hearing a few words from him. It's been more than a month since I remembered to call him. It's definitely not as simple as remembering him as a friend. Hey, I just want to ask you something, Wang Ji said to Lu Rud while holding back his embarrassment. Say, Lu Rud felt a little proud. Ahem, I got 2 satellite-monitored zombie distribution simulation maps of City A, one from 2 weeks ago and one this morning. The number of zombies in your city has dropped sharply. Wang Ji stopped on the side of the road. Did you launch a counterattack? He then asked in a deep voice. Haha, you ask this. Lu Rud quickly answered with a laugh. The chiefs are all concerned about this matter, so be serious, Wang Ji said seriously. Hearing Wang Ji mention the chief, Lu Rud's laughter immediately stopped. It's a counterattack. To be precise, today is the 18th day of the zombie cleanup plan, Lu Rud said. The safety zone in City A is expected to be completed this week. You have also seen the results, which are very gratifying. Wang Ji's eyes widened. Safe place? Kill 90% of the zombies in City A within a month. So crazy? Yes. The last time Brother Lu called him, he told him about the safety zone being built in City A. He heard that the area was quite large. But, is it completed? Are you almost done killing the zombies threatening human safety outside? Is this so strong? Who is this Mr. Lei? Does this Thunder base really have no military background? Can you be so strong? He's a genius, Lu Rud said with a bit of pride. You definitely don't know it, and those people in Kyoto probably don't know it either, Lu Rud continued. Before the end of the world, he was the leader of a leading company in City A. Wang Ji was stunned. There is an arsenal in the Thunder base, and there is no shortage of weapons and ammunition. And Lu Rud wanted to say something about the mysterious pills, but after thinking about it, he shut up. What else? Wang Ji asked with a frown.